Hello everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to discuss how we look at vectors in R. Vectors similar to a variable, but it's how we store multiple elements of information in memory. First of all, I'm going to get rid of what was previously in the console window. So to do that, use the hotkey Control and L at the same time. As you can see, that's purged the console window for me. So, like I said, a vector is a place to store multiple items in memory. So we're going to create a vector, and we're going to use the combine function to create that. So we'll call this vec1. And the combine function weirdly starts with a lowercase c. So that tells us that we want to combine multiple elements against this vector. So we're just going to do something simple like 100, and we're going to iterate by 1 each time, and 102, and 103, and 104, and 105. So that's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 elements, isn't it? So I click run. I know that my vector is now been stored into the global environment, and it's got 1 to 6 elements. So say now I want to give my vectors, so I know there's 6 elements, so I want to give my vector a couple of names. So you use the names function and you pass in the existing vector you've just created, so we're going to call vec1. And then outside of that, we're going to then use, so it's basically saying apply names to the vector1 vector. This time we're going to use the assignment placeholder again. So to put it in memory, I'm going to use the combine function. And let's just assign some arbitrary name values to each one of these. So we're going to call them Gary's result. Gary result. That's me, and then I'm going to use my wife, Kerry result. Now I'm going to space down. After a comma, if you put a space, you can continue writing on the next line. Pat result. Graham result. Eric, that's my dad, result. And let's use my mum as well, Carol result. So I run those 2 lines again. Now my vector's got names attached to said vector. So if I print this out now, I'll expect to see a vector with names associated. Yeah. So Gary result, Kerry result, Pat result, Graham result, Eric result, Carol result. Let's also talk about, whilst we're here, vector operations. So previously we looked at variable operations, so we did the square root of one variable over another. The same thing applies for vectors really. So let's create a vector 2, and each value here that's in vector C. So I'm going to assign 6 elements to this one, and it links back to vector 1. And what I'm going to do is times each value, so 100, and I'm going to have times 1, 101 times 2, etc, etc, etc. So I'm basically going up here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me add that. I'm not going to assign this one any names, and then I'm going to say vec1 times vec2. So what I'd expect then is 100 times 1 is going to be 100, 101 times 2 is going to be 202, etc, etc, etc. Yep. So 100, 202, 306, 412. So basically we've done a multiplication there of each item, and it's got to be identically sized as well. That's an important note to mention. So I've got to have 6 elements in that and 6 elements in that if I'm going to compare them, or if I'm going to do some kind of let's do raise it each to the power of vector 2 now. This is going to come up with some astronomical values. As you can see, you don't really need to use the print function to pass your results to the console window, but I find it's good practice. Then what I could do, as you can see, it's got some scientific numbers, so 1.340096 to the power of e plus 12, so exponented up to 12. So with vector operations, anyway, you could assign this to results vector, and then I could pass in the same outcome as I've done previously. So vector 1 times vector 2. This won't print out because, as you can remember, if it's a placeholder, it gets stored in memory or variable. They're all stored in the global environment memory. So to return that, I'd have to then print it, result vector. That's just something to be wary of. And that's the same as that we got previously, but we printed it directly. This, let me just annotate, this is printed directly to console, whereas this is in memory. R doesn't know what to do yet. And then when we go print, now it does. Yeah, that makes sense. So that gets printed directly out, that stores it in memory, and then we use print to actually return it. So yeah, that's just a little on vector operations, but you can do a lot more sophisticated operations than that, but that's just to give you a flavour. So in the next section, as this has been, like I say, quite a comprehensive section so far, what we'll do is we'll move on to something called vector indexing and vector slicing, so selecting certain elements out of your vector. But as you can see, if you had this vector 2 in an Excel spreadsheet, this is how it'd look essentially. So we've got vec1, vec2, and it's just rows of data. So it's going to be 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106. That's 6 elements, yep. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And all I did with the vector operations is I'm saying that times that, and that should replicate exactly what I've just done there. So if you go back to the console window, you'll find that those results are the same. So let me just use this split screen to do this. So, and what I've just done here is 101. Did I specify 100 at the starting value? Okay. Slight snag. 101, 102, 103, 104, 105. So yeah, the last value there should be 630. And it is. Yeah, 630 matches exactly with that 630. But yeah, it's analogous really to just rows of data in Excel. Okay, so in the next one, like I said, we'll talk about vector indexing and vector slicing. So catch me next time. I hope that was informative. If you've got any questions, just ping me a message in the comments page, and I'll endeavour to respond as soon as possible. Thanks guys, catch you next time.